many of us know, no matter where you go, no matter where you are, above surface, below surface, in buildings, outside buildings, we are constantly under scrutiny and constantly under the observation of cameras anymore. There's pretty much nowhere you can go without being on camera. So if you are in a position where you think, well, nobody's going to see what I'm doing, I should be able to get away with this, let me cut some corners, there's a good chance that you're going to be under video surveillance. And that's one of the first things we did as accident investigators. In any investigatory incident or occasion, one of the first things they're going to do is canvass every place they can to try and get footage of you doing whatever you were supposed to be doing, or you doing whatever your operation was, anybody else involved in your operation, anyone surrounding the operation, maybe not your operation. An investigator is going to go in and try and get that footage. You can't hide from the law. So rather than trying to, my suggestion is, as a preemptive strike, do everything the way you're supposed to. Get there early. Get there safe. Have your vehicles in top condition. Have your staff in top condition, equipped properly. Whatever you're supposed to have, whatever the requirements are for that specific job, equip your staff and your vehicles properly. The law is going to go to any extent that it has to try and find out answers. You can guarantee that. There's no two ways about that. One of the things that I like to stress at most of these webinars that I do and classes that I teach, a lot of the regulations involving trucks, commercial vehicles, doesn't matter what weight you are registered at. If you're a commercial operator in the United States of America, you're covered by the Federal Motor Carrier Regulations. The Federal Motor Carrier Regulations book I have in front of me here is 575 pages. That book changes on average 4 times a year. That book is so specific, it mandates how you tie a rock down on your vehicle if you had a rock in the bed of your truck. It tells you specifically how to do that. If you're unfamiliar with this book, you can buy the book through Label Master. You can buy it through J.J. Keller. There's many books available out there. They're not secrets. Anyone has access to these periodicals and these magazines and regulations. Buy the books. Get yourself familiar with the book. Sometimes it's dry as anything to read the book, but read the section that applies to you. One of the things you have to consider is it's the federal government. It's not your local departments. It's not your local sheriff, your local police, whatever law enforcement agency is close to you. It's the federal government. They have very long arms, and they can reach deep into your pocket. Their regulations are mandatory. They're not flexible, but they do change, and you are responsible to keep up on those changes. They don't notify you of the regulations. And one of the things I always say is there's no sign on a bank that says, do not rob this bank today. You're just supposed to know. So there are regulations out there that regulate your movement of a commercial vehicle. Those regulations do not go out the window because there's a snow event, there's an ice event. Those regulations are still in effect. And people may race to a situation to get a facility open, have an accident on the way there. What's going to happen is your vehicle, you have the potential to have your vehicle impounded. If you're a 1-truck operation or maybe a small operation, 2, 3 trucks, even 5 trucks, 10 trucks, can you afford to have that truck tied up? Because if you are involved in an accident or some type of incident, your truck can be impounded and that truck can be kept indefinitely. The last accident investigation I did, I retired 7 years ago, I had an accident investigation a year and a half prior to that. That vehicle is still in custody. It's still evidence. So can you afford to lose your vehicle and tie up your operation simply because you did not do what you're supposed to do maybe 3 months ahead of time? Did you have the right tires? Were lug nuts tight? Are you carrying the right weight capacity? Is your spreader tied down and anchored down in your vehicle properly? These are all things that you can do ahead of time that can save you a ton of headaches later on after a snow event, during a snow event, in the off season, whatever the situation may be. So that's the gist of my whole suggestion, if you could, is have your vehicles and your staff up to snuff. It's a federal law. Many may not know. It doesn't matter where you are in the country. Federal law mandated by OSHA that anyone within 30 feet of an active roadway, private property, public property, parking lot and driveway, someone's front lawn, 30 feet from active traffic, have to have a reflective vest. Reflective vest standards change. There's a Class 1, Class 2, Class 3. That is determined by the speed that the traffic is traveling. So on top of all the federal motor carrier regulations that you may have to comply with, there's OSHA regulations that you may have to comply with. You might want to check and see what OSHA mandates as far as what gear and what type of clothing, as far as temperature ratings go, for someone who's outside working in a snow event. And if there are no regulations, use your best judgment and give your people the best equipment you can, because the difference between something very inexpensive and the best you can, especially when it comes to reflective vests, is usually a difference of $3 to $5 per vest. You have 10 guys, it's $50 additional. It's not the end of the world, but you have to say to yourself, if I buy this best piece of equipment, how am I going to to a jury if I have to present my case or my attorney has to present my case? I did everything I possibly could. I took the extra steps. I went the extra mile and did everything I possibly could. It has the potential to keep you out of jail, because these aren't the regulations that I'm talking about aren't the type of regulations that make you money. I should have made X amount of dollars on that snow job. I should have made X amount of dollars during this snow season. These regulations are the type of things that keep you out of jail, keep you from having drastic fines, possibly having your pay and salary garnished for the rest of your life because you were dragged through the mud in a lawsuit, especially for something that's preventable.